We're at Overdriven Performance. We're about to install a Dakota Digital Retrotech Series instrument cluster in this Nova, but we want to find a little bit more about this car from the owner.
Well, this car came from...
Really, Dad? I thought this was my car. Come on.
You're right.
Oh, so you're saying it's not his car?
Uh-uh. My name is Ivan Gorbilov, and this is my 1971 Nova. On my 10th birthday, my Uncle Richard came to my house with a card and a Nova sign. And when I opened up the card, I got the 71 Nova for my birthday.
We're going to get this car in the air, and we're going to see if young Ivan here can help us install this Dakota Digital. He will have some help from his dad, but can a 12-year-old install Dakota Digital RTX Series? Underneath the car, Ivan is going to install the signal pulse generator for the speedometer and the cable that leads up to it. This is about the only thing you need to do underneath the car. The rest of it happens in the engine compartment and in the interior.
So what we're going to do, we're going to run this wire, and we're going to look over here, and we're going to see what is the best location and routing to run this wire to not interfere with the exhaust system and or frame or linkage for your transmission.
Dad will coach him most of the way through this installation, but a majority of the work will be done by Ivan himself. He disconnects the battery because when your dad builds hot rods for a living, you better not let him catch you taking chances when you're working around electrical. Routing the cables throughout the engine compartment and up to the dash is a little bit more difficult than the rest of the install.
Pull it this way?
The last part of it, piece of cake. It's all plug and play. Ivan carefully wraps Teflon tape around the threads of the temperature sender as well as the oil pressure sender, making sure to wrap it in the proper direction. Many classic cars don't have too many options for extra temperature senders. This one replaces the factory sender, but there's no room in the intake, so we found a plug on the side of the cylinder head and we mounted the sender there. The oil pressure sender is at the back of the block, near the distributor. To make things a little bit easier later, Ivan wraps tape around the end of the cables and marks them with the appropriate sender. After plugging the cables into the senders, it's time to route them throughout the engine compartment, getting them away from any heat source or moving components.
Okay, I got this wire. Pull it through. Yep. Pulling it.
Now it's time to remove the factory instrument cluster and prepare it for the Dakota Digital. You're going to use the same housing, but the instrument cluster itself is what's going to get replaced. Ivan removes the bolts from the steering column so they can drop it down and pull it out of the way to remove the cluster. Here, Ivan's going to learn a couple of lessons about making sure that cables are disconnected, and maybe next time, if he ever has to do this, he'll remove the steering wheel, as we soon find out. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how difficult was all of that?
Pretty difficult because we got the steering wheel on. So now we're going to take it off, so it's easier to replace the dash back in with all the new Dakota Digital stuff.
That make it a little easier, huh?
Yeah.
Alright, let's go to the table out there and let's swap everything out.
Let's go.
All right, we had a little bit of a setback here, which is common with older cars, especially with plastic dashes. So we're looking at the back here, and a couple of these risers where you screw the dash into have cracked and broken off. And Brandon's going to tell us how he fixes that.
Well, as you can see, this dash has already been repaired a couple times. Like we said, with age, the tabs get brittle, force turning, over tightening screws, etc., basically bust them off. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a little bit of super glue with a zip kicker. They have Hobbytown, all your RC car part companies, whatnot. They sell it. Zappa Gap is another good, reliable glue. Basically, you glue it on, you hit it with a little zip kicker, and it actually fuses the plastic back together, ready for use again. So let's see what we can do here.
Oh, nice.
A little dab will do you. Find the right position. There we go. Right there. My fingers are a little in the way. Take a little bit of the zip kicker. And what this does is it activates the glue. Just a little bit will do. Sometimes it starts smoking. Don't be alarmed. It's just fusing the plastic together. Now it'll actually be stronger than the original setup.
That works great. We're talking with Ivan here. He's the owner of the car. Now, I remember back before we went and got this kit, what was it you were saying about the gauge cluster that's in your Nova?
Well, I just love the original style of the Nova. Any other cars, I just love original cars.
What do you think now that you see this Dakota Digital here?
Yeah, they did really good on matching the original style with the new dash cluster. Looks pretty good.
The other thing that you're going to like about this is that it looks as close to the original as you can. When it's off, it's really hard to tell. Okay, what is it you're doing there? I saw you put the screw in and you turned it backwards. What was that about?
Well, a trick I learned not too long ago, you always, on old plastic like this, on classic cars, you're always going to want to turn it back so you can find the threads and you don't start new threads. And if you do, you possibly crack the plastic that I'm screwing it into and or just break it off. So you always got to be careful like that.
Cool. So what happens when you turn it backwards? I heard a little click there. Is that what happens when it falls into the threads?
Yeah, it clicks when it finds the old threads that it came with factory that
Okay.
people screwed in.
Let's check it out. I want to see that. That's pretty cool. That's a great idea. It just snapped and makes it a little easier to get the screw back in too. You're not cutting new threads. You're putting it into the exact same place that it was already in. So, great idea.
Thanks.
Cool. Thanks for sharing that.
Yep.
All right, now that you've installed it, let's go ahead and flip it over and see what you think.
Dude, it looks the same. They did really good on matching it. Oh my god. It's perfect.
Yeah, like it.
Yeah, I love it.
Ready to put that in the car?
Let's do it.
One of the more difficult parts of this installation is cutting the plugs off of the factory harness. But Brandon assures us, with this Nova, Dakota is for life.
So we're leaving a little extra on the wiring because we don't know what we're going to end up doing with this car, whether we switch it to LS or big block, small block. We don't know the positions that this is going to end up in: oil pressure sending units, water temp sending units, etc.
What are you going to do?
Well, we're going to turn the key just to the on position, just to make sure that everything's working before we do the final install.
I see lights. Oh, look at that.
Okay, so we got the plug plugged into the back.
Yep.
Let's lift it up. And we're gonna dive it in from the bottom down. Now watch the plug. One side's it. There you go, buddy. Drag them in. Just like that. Get a Phillips screw and put one in the top to hold it in position.
Oh, that's sick.
Very cool.
That's cool.
Then, once you light it up, you can change the colors. You can do any color combination you want. You can even pretty much match the color of your car. Now, do you like that part of it?
Yeah, it's pretty rad.